I have to be honest, I thoroughly enjoyed the Battlefield 6 beta. It felt like a next-gen and old-school shooter at the same time. Intense combat with insane destruction, and it ticked a lot of boxes for Battlefield and FPS fans alike. However, there were a few things that I thought could be improved and some potential problems with the game in the future that I wanted to discuss in this video, and I'd be really interested to know your thoughts in the comments too. From my perspective, I don't think any of this is a massive concern, spare there being a technical disaster when the game launches in October, and it's coming from a place of passion for the franchise and constructive criticism rather than just complaining for the sake of it. The older I get, the less I feel like complaining and just enjoying and appreciating what we have instead. With that said, I'm going to keep it snappy. Here are some of the top issues with the game in my opinion. First up, the matchmaking system, server browser and portal. For me, and I'm sure many others, this topic is a really big deal. Why? Well, for some context, this is what we used to have in Battlefield games. This is how good it used to be. Every game until Battlefield 2042 had a traditional server browser in, where you could see official servers, community servers, and you could toggle on or off a whole host of filters to find the perfect experience that you were looking for. This meant that if you wanted to find a game on a certain map or mode, you could easily do that. If you wanted to play with more than 4 people, you could pick a server and join it together. If you were in a lower player population region, you could join servers in higher population regions and actually play on what you wanted to, years after the game ceased updating. This was a massive positive, and it offered players an exceptional amount of choice, and it set Battlefield apart from other shooters who ditched the server browser completely. Battlefield 6, on the other hand, is focused on matchmaking for its official experiences. This means that you pick a game mode from the main menu, and it puts you in a match. When the match ends, the server dies, and then you're thrown back into the matchmaking system to find a new match. While this system is quick and easy, and I'm sure more efficient and cheaper for EA, it does have several drawbacks. And while there were preferences available in the second weekend of the beta for what you wanted to play, I don't know what your guys' experience was like, but I tested this and it very rarely cared for my preferences. And preferences is the key word here. What you picked wasn't ever a guarantee of what you got. So here are some problems with this matchmaking system for Battlefield games. Maps. You end up playing the same maps in a row. And many times you end up on the same side of the maps, always being put on the defending side on Breakthrough or Rush, for example, which was very common for me in the beta. No persistence. As I said, when the game ends, all of the players are kicked out and put back into the lobby. Although there were 64 players on the server at the end of the match, rather than keep them there and cycle to a new map, the system insists on kicking them all out back to the lobby. No persistence in official matches is a huge loss for Battlefield. You don't get to build up a sense of camaraderie with the players in your squad or team, or a sense of rivalry with the enemies. And it means that there's no way to play on official servers with default rules in a playlist that cycles through all of the maps in Conquest 64. This used to be one of my favourite ways to play Battlefield on official servers, and if there isn't a quick play option on the main menu for a playlist that rotates you through every map in Conquest or Breakthrough on launch of the game, it will be a massive disappointment for me and I'm sure many others. I know some of you are probably screaming at me right now saying that's what Portal's for, so let's talk about it. DICE announced that in the new Portal, you'll be able to set up servers with whatever settings you choose and then browse them in a server browser. If you want, these servers can be persistent too, and anyone can host a server for free here. Great job, DICE and EA, amazing. So, for example, in theory, yes, John Doe could host his own server here with the official rule set that rotates through all of the maps on Conquest. Amazing, but the issue with this is, how is John Doe going to get players to join his server and fill it up with 64 players to get the match started in the first place? How is he going to do it? If you've trained players to click on a square on the main menu so they can play, why would they ever click on Portal and then look through a list to find a server? Maybe John Doe gets 2 or 3 players to join who are longing for that old school Conquest 64 all maps persistent server, but one gets bored and quits, the other waits for a while, got to pick their kids up from school, they disconnect from the game, no one else joins, John Doe shuts the server down and doesn't try ever again. This is the problem with Portal. It's a function, behavior, and visibility issue. In BF 2042, outside of AFK XP grinding servers or hardcore rule sets, there's no traction. So what would I do if I was in charge to fix all this? Well, first, I'd list official quick play servers in the Portal server browser as well as community servers and give players all of the filters that we used to have. This would actually incentivize people to use the server browser again to look for the tailored experience that they desire, official rule set or not. And guess what? If they're looking down the list and they see a community server with an interesting title full of players, they might actually join that instead of an official one. And even if I had to queue and wait to join an official server on a specific map and game mode that I wanted to play on, I would rather do that and pick it on a server browser than take a chance and gamble over and over again with the matchmaker. Second, I'd seed Portal community servers into the quick play matchmaking system as an option if those servers fall under the official quick play rule set. Players then have a chance to join and fill those servers up from the quick play screen, giving whoever hosted that experience a chance for their persistent community servers to grow. I'm not saying that people who have 5,000 tickets and 200% increased respawn time on vehicles should be in the quick play option. I'm saying if a player makes a server and it's exactly the same as an official quick play server, it should be an option for the matchmaking algorithm to put them in that game. Yes, the danger of this is badmins, but I'd put more trust in people, see what happens, and then make a move or not from there. Third, I'd add an official persistent server quick play option to the main menu that let people search for Conquest and Breakthrough, rotating through all of the maps. And four, if there are really popular community servers popping up that are consistently full, have open panels or space at least on the homepage where you can feature those. And if none of this is possible for whatever reason, the least that DICE could do is add some kind of bias to the matchmaker. So when people are searching, the chance of them playing the same map back to back is incredibly low. Yeah, of course, if there's a new map out in a seasonal DLC drop, you have that playlist there, Operation Metro 24/7, whatever it is. But some kind of bias in the matchmaker, which meant that you didn't play the same maps over and over again, would be great. Or rather than just preferences that you could tick, you could have another screen which was only put me on this map and game mode and acknowledge that the player might be waiting a while until they get that experience. Seeing as we've mentioned Portal a few times there, we're going to quickly talk about that now. The new version of Portal, in the creativity sense, looks incredible. DICE have showed us a few snippets of its potential. Only up style game modes, races, zombies, AI scripting, top-down 2D shooters, tower defense, single-player experiences. You can place geometry and assets. You've got Godot support, giving players the ability to make their own maps, basically. Dust 2, Shipment, Facing Worlds, Caspian Border, why not? It's all going to happen week 1 of Portal. The possibilities are crazy with this, and this thing could be an explosion for Battlefield if EA play their cards right, because we all know how powerful modded experiences can be. My big concern with it is that, let's say Portal releases on the same day as Battlefield 6, October 10th, and outside of maybe 2 or 3 custom game modes that the developers have made themselves, what other options are going to be there for players to engage with and be interested in? Let's be honest, if the official only up from DICE only takes 5 minutes to complete and get to the top, you're going to play it once and never again. If there's a jet race but it's only on one map, you'll play it once and never again. So how do you get around this and get those interested in Portal to stick around and foster growth and expansion of it? Here's what I would do if I had the keys to the kingdom. By now, months ago in fact, I would have reached out to people who do this kind of stuff and do it well. For example, the top Fortnite creative people, the top Halo Forge people, the top modders out there, people who know how to use game engines, and pay them to create experiences in Portal that would be ready to go on that day 1 drop. So rather than there just being a couple of throwaway game modes right at the start that maybe people will play once or twice and it's going to leave a bit of a bad first impression, meh. Instead, you go out there, you pay people to make stuff, and there might actually be some decent meat in there for people to tuck into. Some interesting experiences that have been crafted for months already with love, care, and attention. That's what I would have done. Do I expect that to happen? No. But I think they should really be thinking about this kind of stuff. And while it means that, yes, maybe the first couple of weeks might feel a bit dead, after that, there's still going to be a chance to grow, of course. Like I said, the potential is huge here. But I'm just hoping that they hit the ground running with Portal and they support it properly, because otherwise it might suffer the same fate as BF 2042 Portal. Like I said, XP grinding, hardcore servers. That's about it. So EA, put some weight behind Portal. That's all I'm asking for. Next, options menu. The options menu is very difficult to navigate in this game. While I appreciate the fact that there are so many options and customization in the game, it's a nightmare to find what you want sometimes, menus upon menus. So adding a search function would massively help with this, and also the ability to favorite options or specific option menus that you come back to again and again would be great. Moving on to some gameplay stuff now. Where were the ribbons and medals? I would love to see those making a return when I'm earning them or completing certain actions and missions. Doritos everywhere. Spotting was crazy in the beta build. It seemed like everyone was spotted at all times, and all you had to do to spot someone was just look at them, even through smokes on occasion. I don't know if it was a bug or this was just intentional, but because of this, you end up playing from the user interface rather than observing what's actually in front of you or your surroundings or what you can hear. It's just not as fun or engaging, so I'd like to see them tone down the spotting. Increasing player visibility goes hand in hand with this too. Weapon recoil, many of the weapons felt similar and like laser beams when you had the right attachments on them. I like a bit more character in my Battlefield gunplay, tips hat. DICE did address this in a recent blog post though, so it looks like the gunplay in the full game will feel different than the beta. We'll have to test that in future builds, obviously. Instant death, the time to death, felt very quick at times and was a bit inconsistent. I had experiences that felt like I was dying in one frame to LMGs and assault rifles, which was not fun. I also experienced many deaths behind cover. Hopefully they can fix that up. Footstep audio I found was quite inconsistent. It was good at times, bad at times. I'm not asking for Counter-Strike levels of pinpoint accuracy, but directional footstep audio was definitely getting lost in the sauce in the Battlefield 6 beta every now and again. Vehicle physics, some of the vehicles didn't feel good, helicopters and jets in particular. Tanks were perhaps a bit sluggish too. I want to see some improvements there. The sniper sweet spot, it's back. In BF6 you can one hit kill with a torso shot at certain distances depending on the sniper rifle that you're using. For me personally, I think this creates a lot of inconsistency for the player being shot at and also for the player doing the shooting. I think the only situation a sniper should be able to one-shot kill a full health player is with a headshot at any distance in Battlefield. Just my 2 cents. Also, there was a massively overpowered rangefinder attachment in the beta that ranged your scope to the exact distance of the target that you were looking at, essentially eliminating bullet drop even for extreme ranges. I did talk about this in a previous video. If you want a deeper explanation, it's up on my channel. But generally speaking, I felt that it took a lot of the skill, fun and satisfaction out of sniping. Maps, are we actually going to get more big Battlefield maps in the game? There's 9 maps in total at launch. Many of them look like small to medium maps, typically speaking. Based on the leaked footage that I saw recently of Mirak Valley in the BF Labs playtest that took place last week, that map looks a lot bigger than the overview image that they released. Some weird perspective stuff going on here, perhaps. And that does give me a bit of hope now that I've seen a gameplay video of it. I've also seen leaked footage of 2 Season 1 maps that look pretty big, so I've got faith that there will be more big maps in the game. I just hope that DICE lean into the all-out warfare sandbox that makes Battlefield stand out from the crowd. Next, I've talked about this ad nauseum, but let's mention it quickly again in this video. Why not? Unlocked weapons versus class-locked weapons. This is a fundamental part of the game design. They need to choose what Battlefield is going forward. If they don't, they keep digging a giant hole, splitting the player base and ending up in a situation that will be very difficult to get out of and annoying a lot of people in the process, whatever they choose. So far, their decisions and actions have come across as very flip-floppy and show a lack of confidence in their design. This also leans into class identity as well, but that could be a whole video on its own. I just don't want to waste your time with it. So I think they need to pick a lane. Finally for today, for some people, this is a big deal. A deal breaker, in fact. And for others, they simply don't care about this stuff at all. Humor me for a moment, please. Look at this BF6 beta footage right now. Save it and perhaps savor it if you need to. Everyone around me is wearing the same uniform, and it gives the feeling that you're part of a cohesive unit, a unit of soldiers, of a team of comrades. It gives a grounded, authentic feeling that you can relate to in some respect, because you've seen people dressed like this in the news, in clips, in movies. You used to play games that look like this. Maybe you're serving in the military, maybe you once served in the military, and this look right here, it gives a certain vibe, a feeling. And you also know what the enemy look like too. They look like this. They all have the same colors and style on. When the game goes live in October, when Season 1 drops, when they put a store in the game and people can buy cosmetics and change how they look, that feeling is going to go away. It's gone. However, I think there's a lot of value in that feeling that makes Battlefield 6 appealing right now based on the beta, and DICE should be hyper aware of this and perhaps offer people an option to toggle, so if players want to, they only see default soldier skins in the game. Now take a look at this. This is the Phantom Edition of Battlefield 6, and these are some of the skins that you have the option to choose from if you buy that version of the game. First up, black and red character models. I think these guys look pretty cool, but they do look quite different, don't they? Here's the M1 Abrams tank skin that you get, black and red with lines on it. The iconic M1 Abrams look and feel goes away. And there's also this, a black and red gun camo with lines on. This one, to me, it's starting to look a bit like Transformers now. So that feeling, that grounded vibe that the game had in the beta is going to start fading away. And with every new season, it will phase out. Just an observation. It's up to DICE based on what cosmetics they put in the game, of course, how outlandish they go with it. But if they want to retain that grounded, authentic feel that many FPS gamers are striving for right now, I think a toggle for players to only show default skins would go a long way and appease both parties. So with that said, that's all I got for today. Bit of an abridged version of some of the stuff that I didn't really vibe with in BF6 and maybe some concerns for the future. Do let me know your thoughts down below. Really appreciate you watching, and it's just my opinion, of course. I'm not saying that I'm right about this stuff. It's just how I feel as a Battlefield fan since BF 1942. I love this franchise, and I think BF6, it is ticking a lot of boxes for me. And I'm sure I'm going to play it loads when it releases. But of course, just like anything, it is not perfect. Maybe down in the comments, drop me your top 3 or 5 issues with the game. Also, I want to mention this too. If you want to help support me directly, EA have enabled a creator code for me. So if you purchase BF6 on the EA app, you can use my code JackFrags. Here it says where you apply promo code. Put JackFrags in there, click apply, and then if you go ahead and buy the game, I will get 5% of that sale. It also works with most of the other games on the EA app too. So if you want to help support me directly, that's a great way to do that. Other creators are in it too, just a heads up. And once again, like I said, the last time I mentioned this, I would advise not pre-ordering the game. Wait until it's out. Watch some more videos, watch other people, watch reviews, ask your mates if they end up buying it before you put any money down. And that's it. Guys, appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for supporting me and being here all these years. Drop me a like if you enjoyed the video, a dislike if you didn't. Subscribe if you're new here. I know we get a lot of people from the YouTube algorithm coming in, so if you're new, do consider subscribing. Thank you. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.